Hello again, YouTubers, on with SpongeBob11 back here again on the SpongeBob channel for another Patrick Star Show episode review. In this video, we will be covering episode number 7, The Haunting of Star House and Who's a Big Boy. So this synopsis states, Patrick hires cheap ghosts to haunt his house, but he ends up getting just what he paid for. Also, Patrick hits an unnatural growth spurt in his late adolescence. Without further ado, let's get right into him. The Haunting of Star House, and there are two concurrently running plot lines, one smaller than the other, of course, and it starts with the smaller plot. Squidward is trying to chase Cecil Star for unpaid newspaper money, totaling to a whopping amount of $3. So it's kind of strange how Squidward goes to really unusual lengths to try to extract that $3. But anyways, this leads into the main plot line, which is ghosts, right? So Patrick here, with his skis stuck in his eyes, pretty gross. Thinks that his dad covered in towel is a ghost, and of course this brings him to want to do a segment on ghosts, right? So they do a little peekaboo there, and Cecil tells Patrick that ghosts are for rich people. So seeing how sad Patrick is and Patrick's desire to have some ghosts haunt the house, Squidina brings up the TV where the Flying Dutchman is running a commercial for renting ghosts and getting them to haunt the house. Alright, so Patrick takes him up on the offer. The first haunting is free, and so the Dutchman delivers a pair of ghosts to the Star residents, which are then instructed to spook Cecil and Bunny Star, right? So starting off with Cecil Star, he is trying to make a sandwich, and the ghost combines a whole bunch of other things into that sandwich, douses it with, I think it looks like ghost pepper hot sauce, and stuffs it into Cecil's mouth, and guess what Cecil says? That was the best sandwich he had ever had. Alright, so obviously, this part was really funny to me when the ghost thought that the hot sauce had, run past its expiry, consumed it, and basically was engulfed in flames. A very silly situation where Patrick extinguishes, of course. It's cool, Patrick seems pretty knowledgeable in this episode, which is kind of contrasted with what we will see later in the second segment of episode number 7. Alright, so yeah, this ghost fails, and moving on to the other ghost, Bunny is presumably mowing the carpet. Why would anyone do that? Like, the carpet doesn't really grow anyway. But yeah, that kind of ruins the ghost's tongue, and also that guy fails. So yeah, the conclusion is that the ghosts were not scary at all. Now, this is when the second plotline comes back in. Squidward is literally trying to break into the Star residence to collect the $3. And this is all while the Squidina and Patrick are having a conversation with the ghost, and the ghosts tell Patrick that his family is too dumb to be scared, which is pretty true, I mean, the Star family is not the brightest bulbs in the world. Yeah, and this is when Squidward breaks in. I'm not even sure how Squidward doesn't notice that the four of them are like literally right at the couch, but yeah, he doesn't notice this, and so Patrick promises to be scarier than the ghosts, and he does, because when Squidward digs into the couch thinking he has gotten a hold of money, he pulls out Patrick's skin, which is really, really gross, but also really scary, and Patrick pops out with his muscle muscle showing, right? And he's like, that's not yours. This totally freaks out Squidward, and the scare is successful. While Patrick gives chase to Squidward, the Squidina gives the ghost a makeover, which causes them to die again and then come back to life. So I'm not even sure how that is even possible. They become like freeloading deadbeats, just taking up space in the living room. And this is when Grandpa Star comes out and notices these deadbeat fellas and realizes that they owed him $10 back in like 1926 or something, which after adjusted for inflation amounted to a few $100,000. Which I thought was really hilarious. And of course the two brothers, they are brothers, say that they were broke and dead the whole time, so no repayment. And of course this pisses off Grandpat, who demands restitution. So yeah, meanwhile, Sco also demands restitution from Cecil, and yeah, Patrick manages to get back his, or he doesn't get back his skin, but Squidina apparently has a spare, so that's kind of gross. But yeah, let's ignore that and move on to the end of the episode, which is where Patrick talks about ghosts and saying that they're not scary, they're just silly. And this is when the balloon turns into the Flying Dutchman's face and scares, well, Patrick and Squidina. There's the part where Patrick literally jumps into the painting and rows the boat away in the lake, which I thought was really cool. And overall, this episode, I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. A really funny episode to a certain extent. I just didn't like the part where, Patrick's skin was off. I thought that was really quite gross. But yeah, overall, a decent episode. Moving on to Who's a Big Boy, I thought this episode was really interesting, and there's two portions of the video, I guess, again. One part I didn't really like, which is how childish Patrick is portrayed in this episode, and secondly, the whole nuclear radiation kind of thing, which again, I'm glad that they changed nuclear to nuclear, because in reality, nuclear doesn't exist in reality, nuclear does, and nuclear is very, very dangerous, so kids, don't try this at home, alright? So the episode starts off with another thing that I really like. SpongeBob is in this episode. Of course, at the start of the episode, he only appears as a figurine, which is consistently being smashed into fruit by Patrick for his segment on The Patrick Show, Sponge Smash. So this is when they end up running out of fruit, and Grandpet tells Patrick and Squidina about back in the 1940s, fruit was free. And so guess what Patrick does? He goes to his time machine, goes back to the 1940s, and ends up in this town. He just walks out into a building, and guess what this town is being used for? It's a nuclear testing area. This is an amazing idea. I never imagined SpongeBob or the writers incorporate this into any kind of SpongeBob media, but epic. All right, so Patrick has a verbal showdown with a mannequin of some sort, and severs the head of it before telling the mannequin kid that he is the head of the house now. All right, so for all the significance of nuclear radiation, right? Like, Patrick manages to escape before the countdown ends, and then he hears a knock on the door, opens the door, and he gets powdered with nuclear radiation anyway. So what was the point of him escaping before the countdown ended and the explosion began? I do not know, but yeah, so now then Patrick is contaminated with nuclear radiation. He turns into this glowing nightlight, which annoys Ouchie, which I thought was cool. We have a little moment there seeing Ouchie again. And in the morning, Patrick has become huge. So this is when the tagline, Who's a Big Boy, comes into play. And this is the part where, I'm not really too... not a real fan of this, because clearly Patrick in this show is not like 5 years old. Okay, so it's kind of strange that Bunny is treating him as he were like 5 years old. Yeah, there's this part where he swallows the handyman's repair or toolbox, and every time he asks for something, Patrick burps it out. So we will see this in other parts of the episode as well. So anyways, the Patrick Show must go on, right? So Patrick is literally loaded onto the stage by this forklift, and he crushes his viewers before just drinking the coffee from the hot tub that Grandpet and Squidward's mom were just chilling in. I'm not even sure why they're like chilling in a coffee hot tub, but this is when Patrick just decides to continue walking down the street. Whoa, random, right? So Squidina follows, of course, and this is also when Patrick locates SpongeBob standing beside a fruit stand. So now here we have SpongeBob, and Patrick doesn't seem to realize that SpongeBob is SpongeBob and just thinks he's a talking SpongeBob figurine. And so he still smashes SpongeBob into various fruit objects, right? Eventually, they reach the parade where SpongeBob bites on the banana float, and then Patrick tries to do the exact same thing and causes SpongeBob to go flying into and crashing into a pineapple. New homes coming soon at Con Street. So this kind of changes the origin of how SpongeBob moved into Bikini Bottom, or at least moved into his pineapple, because if we take the SpongeBob moves in approach, obviously that was not how he moved into the pineapple, right? But anyways, that's pretty cool to see. So yeah, Patrick manages to bite on the balloon and blow it up essentially. And so he causes a whole lot of mayhem. The newspaper boy from Hall Monitor makes his return here and read all about it. So the Navy is called in and tries to put down Patrick. There's this part where Patrick thinks the live citizens of Bikini Bottom are action figures and wonder why they keep running away from him, which is so strange. But I mean, I'm not sure if that is on the line of silly and dumb or just plain childish. I'm not sure, right? But the funny part then is that he takes the tanks and uses them as roller skates, which I thought was hilarious. So yeah, things get even worse when the Admiral decides to use nuclear bombs on Patrick, and this causes Patrick to grow even larger. And Squidina comes up with a plan after theorizing that it was the nuclear radiation that caused Patrick to grow in the first place, and so nuclear radiation inside of Patrick would cause him to shrink. And they put this plan in motion by decorating a missile as a hot dog, which I thought was pretty creative. I gotta say, it's a pretty creative idea. Well, they succeed in getting Patrick to consume it, and Patrick does shrink down, choking out Grandpat and Squidward's mom, who was being digested. And yeah, everyone's happy, but this is when, Patrick starts shrinking even more than his normal proportion. He shrinks into a little tiny boy, and yeah. SpongeBob shows up again, and it's time for SpongeBob to use Patrick as a figure and then smashing Patrick into fruit. So very innocent looking ending there, very silly as well, but I'm not even sure why SpongeBob decided to do that. Overall, Who's a Big Boy? I will give it a 8 out of 10. Although there were a couple of things I didn't like, but the things that I really liked, the plot line, the main plot, the handyman, SpongeBob showing up, I think those all outweigh the cons of this episode. So yeah, comment box below what you guys thought about Who's a Big Boy. Make sure to subscribe, like, favorite, comment, etc. Keep right here on with SpongeBob 101. You can also comment in the box below about what you thought about Haunting of Star House as well, by the way. But yeah, so that's all for this one. Till the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye!